computer. Okay. Did it go? Okay, so here we go. Here we go. All right. Synaptic vesicles are these guys in here, okay? And they contain the acetylcholine. So synaptic vesicles where neurotransmitters are stored. Now, neurotransmitters are things like acetylcholine, which makes muscles move, and it's like dopamine, serotonin, any of those things. Those are all neurotransmitters. Adrenaline, you probably know, like your heart gets racing, that's a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters that crosses the gap is acetylcholine, acetylcholine. Because how do we know? Because that's for muscle contractions. I know for a fact, one of the questions on your exam is somebody created a new drug that prevents acetylcholinesterase or acetylcholine from being released from a nerve. What would happen? And you're like, nothing. And I'm always like, be more specific. And they're like, yeah, you're right, nothing. You wouldn't be able to contract. Without ACH, you can't contract. Okay, it's a longer question than that, trust me, but that's essentially the part of it. All right, let's go back to bio. Oh God, sophomore year, hated it, unless you had me zip it. Okay, here's the deal. What do all enzymes end in? Do you remember this one? I hear you. Did somebody say ACE? ACE means it's an enzyme. So the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine is actually called choline ester ACE. Do we need to know that? Not really. It comes up on a question. I think in your homework, it comes up on a question in your homework. Woo! All right. I'm stopping my presentation on my iPad here because I got to go to my PowerPoint. Okay. So I'm going to do a new share like you do. Desktop. Yeah. All right. So I am done there. And now I am right here. Sliding filament theory is the jam of the day. Okay. Let me present. Okay. Do you remember who was my, oh, I panicked that it was going to shut down. Who was my calcium fairy? Joanne was my calcium fairy. Okay. So I was the little golf club here. And then Joanne sprinkled calcium down that opened the troponin. Remember, short word is the doorknob. Tropomyosin is the long rope. All right, let's go here. Remember, I was myosin. I stayed still, but the things, they scooted together. So the H zone is disappearing. All right, the myosin kind of stays in one spot. So let's go here. This is kind of a review of everything we've done.
By shortening or contracting our muscles. Let's take a closer look. A muscle consists of parallel muscle fibers. Each fiber is a single cell in close contact with a motor neuron. Each muscle cell contains bundles of parallel myofibrils, shown in red, surrounded by endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. An action potential traveling down a motor neuron initiates an action potential in the muscle cell. The action potential spreads along the membrane and down tubules that extend into the cytoplasm, causing the myofibrils to contract. Each myofibril consists of a series of sarcomeres arranged end to end. The sarcomere is the contractile unit of muscle. Each sarcomere
I can tell you right now, the exact question on your exam is, well, it depends on which exam you get. I don't know. But one of the questions is, explain the interaction of proteins in the sliding filament model. And people are like, I don't know. Basically, you got to get actin and myosin in there. How do they interact? And basically the myosin digs into the actin and scoots it together. It's a 7-point question, so I'm going to need a little bit more than that.
Consists of thick filaments of myosin, shown in purple, and thin filaments of actin, shown in orange. A sarcomere contracts when its actin filaments slide past its myosin filaments. Contraction shortens the sarcomere, but does not change the length of the actin or myosin filaments. The myosin filaments have heads that bind and pull actin repeatedly, shortening the sarcomere.
Why I love this movie. Okay, calcium fairy comes in.
How do the myosin heads pull actin?
I don't know.
In a relaxed muscle, the myosin binding sites on actin are blocked by a protein complex, and ADP and phosphate are bound to each myosin head. An action potential causes the ER to release calcium ions, which bind to the protein complex, causing it to shift and expose the myosin binding sites. The myosin head binds to actin. When ADP and phosphate are released, the myosin head bends, pulling the actin. This is called.
Okay, so basically, yeah, I'm turning her off. So basically the myosin digs in. The tropomyosin is the long rope. The troponin, short word, that's a little handle. But it pulls the tropomyosin off the binding sites. So what's going to happen is the myosin can dig in. This is going to happen as long as we have energy. When do you no longer have energy? When you're dead. And then it remains contracted. Okay, we'll turn her back on.
Potentials stop. Calcium ions are pumped back into the ER. The myosin binding sites on actin are again blocked, and the muscle relaxes.
Okay, and I'm gonna keep going like this. The next part is stuff that I think you already know. So we are on where it says it's Roman numeral 4, energy source. Okay, so it says provided by ATP from cellular respiration occurs where? What organelle makes ATP? There we go, mitochondria. All right. So if you watch the movie that I made on creatine phosphate, I have a bunch of pictures and stuff. Why aren't they in this? I don't know. I have no idea where that presentation is. I was so impressed when I watched the movie. I'm like, damn, what? Okay. And I made it last year. I have no idea. So I bet it's on my old computer. Okay. So here we go. So it says only 25% of energy produced during cellular respiration is used during metabolic processes. The rest is in the form of heat. You are making heat all day. Okay. Now, in my other classes, well, I know I've talked about this a lot, and I hope I hit it here pretty well too. It says, one of the sources is creatine phosphate. So I am down in the paragraph under the box where it shows creatine. So if we think about this, ADP is useless. That's bad to say. I don't want to say useless. You can't get any energy from it. It needs an extra phosphate. Creatine phosphate adds the phosphate, it becomes useful again. So when ATP, and I'm going to explain it in just a second. When ATP is depleted, creatine phosphate breaks down, releases energy to regenerate ATP. Okay, it's actually really cool. So here we go. When muscles are particularly active, I'm on your paragraph. And creatine sources may be exhausted. Wait a minute, I'm not taking creatine, so I shouldn't work out. You have a natural source of creatine in you. If I take extra creatine, does that mean I'm gonna like buff up? No. It means I'm gonna be able to recycle my energy faster. So if I can get more energy, I can work out longer. And if I work out longer, then I'm gonna get stronger. And if I get stronger, I can work out longer. Do you see how it's like a cycle? Some of you are like, I'm gonna skip the working out. I'm just gonna take creatine and go home and watch a little Netflix, maybe do a little TikTok. You're just gonna get fat. Your muscles are gonna get really swollen because they're gonna have all this extra energy and they're gonna absorb a ton of water and you're gonna be puffy. Well, that's not anybody's goal. I know. All right. So you don't want to do that. So if you've used all your sources of ATP and creatine phosphate, your cells have to rely on anaerobic respiration. So highlight anaerobic respiration. Wait a minute. I don't get it. So hold on. I'm taking a quick left turn here. I promise you it's coming up, but I'm gonna talk about this. So grandma, you know your grandma, you love your grandma. So everybody hold on. Grandma's in, let's say she's in assisted living. So she's living on her own, but you know, she's got some help when she needs it. So somebody's at the door. Grandma's like, coming. So grandma gets up, she walks to the door. During that 22 seconds it takes grandma to get over to the door, she hasn't entered aerobic respiration yet. Her muscles aren't getting the oxygen they needed. So if you've ever heard that grandma fell, I can guarantee you it's because she was in anaerobic respiration. Now, could she have slipped on the ice? Okay, yeah. But if it's one of those things, it's like, oh, grandma got up to get the telephone and she fell. Because grandma's like, oh, okay, I'm coming, honey. And she, you know, she's walking to the door. She's not breathing deep yet. Her muscles are like, and then grandma fell. And then when you ask grandma, how did you fall? And her answer is, I don't know. I just was walking and then I couldn't walk anymore. I don't know. Because she didn't know. My mom is in a wheelchair, but she doesn't remember that. So in the middle of the night, she has to go to the bathroom sometimes. So she gets up to go to the bathroom. She falls. She's only 4'10", so it's not like a hard fall, but she just, but whenever they find her in the morning and she's like right outside the bathroom door. And they're like, Marion, what did you do? She goes, well, I had to go to the bathroom. They're like, oh, you could have called us. Okay, she's so cute. That's because, now think about it. If you've ever, when you get up in the morning and you're startled awake, you're like, oh God, oh yeah, I'm up. And then you get into the bathroom, you're like, ooh. Oh God, I'm fuzzy, I'm foggy. Breathe deep. It's because you're in anaerobic respiration. Your body is still sleeping, but your brain is like, holy crap, I got to get out of bed. And then you look at your watch and you're like, it's 2 a.m. What was I dreaming? What the hell? What was I dreaming? Okay. I know you've done that. I do it all the time. Mine was 3:08 this morning. I woke up, I'm like, I'm late. I wasn't late for what? Okay. Here we go. So we're filling in now. If a cell's oxygen is depleted, ready? Pyruvic acid is converted to lactic acid. Lactic acid goes on the blank. 2 molecules are produced. 2 molecules of ATP is not enough to keep you going. It's not enough. All right. So now hold on. Wait, what are you saying here, Miss Fraley? If oxygen is depleted from my muscle, because you've all heard, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you've heard lactic acid's bad, right? You got to get rid of it. Time out. Lactic acid just needs to be recycled. It's perfect. Oh, well, who lied to me? Everybody did. Okay, because everybody just thinks it's bad. Yeah, it burns and it hurts. Okay, whatever, get over it. But it's going to get recycled, so it's kind of cool. So here you are. All right, as lactic acid accumulates, fatigue sets in. So underlying fatigue, it comes up in your homework, which you're going to do in about a half hour. Fatigue sets in. And highlight oxygen debt, DEBT. Debt. Hold on. If I owe you $5, I'm in debt to you. How do I get out of debt? I have to pay you $5. If you're in oxygen debt, how do you repay the debt? Breathing. Yeah, it's called breathing. Okay, so here you are. You're running. You're in Miss Metzel's class. You got to go run a mile. You're running. And you're like, oh my God, I got a cramp. I got a cramp, Miss Metzel. It's so bad. And she'll say, put your hand in the air. And you're like, no, how dare she make me do that? So you reach up and she's like, no, keep moving. And you're like, oh, I hate her so much. Yep. By raising your hand in the air, you open up your chest cavity. You get more oxygen in. You pay back the debt. You feel great. So Miss Metzel was right. Yes, she's right. Okay. Yes, she's right. So chances are, even if you're working out and you're lifting weights, you know, you're like 48 and you're like, oh my God, I can't do another one. You drop the weights. You're like, oh yeah, I'm so done. I'm done. If you wait 3 minutes, could you pick up and do 2 more reps to get up to 50? Absolutely. You paid back the oxygen debt that was in your arms. Oxygen debt and the reason you get lactic acid is because you're in oxygen debt. Keep breathing. Now, if you've ever had a massage and you're like, oh yeah, I had a massage and she really worked my neck. It was great. And then she got the elbow in there and she's rubbing it out. What do they tell you to do after your massage? Do you know?
Drink lots of water.
Lots of water. Why?
Flush out the lactic acid.
Where does it flush? Because you're like, flush it out. I mean, am I peeing lactic acid? Is it going to be neon? No, your pee's not going to be neon. What happens is it goes to your liver. Your liver converts it back into glucose that you can use for ATP, generation of ATP. That's how perfect you are. You are 100% perfect. Mr. Pike, you are the inner Mr. Pike. Thank your liver, thank your liver. Okay, so here we go. Oxygen must be supplied to relieve the buildup. Lactic acid changes the pH of the muscle fiber, which means that's why it hurts. It's got a different pH. So then I have lactic acid is, here's what I want you to write. Carried by the blood to the liver where it is converted back into glucose. Back into glucose. God, it seems like I had caffeine for lunch, but I didn't. All right, ready? Now, this is if you watch the movie I made on the creatine, I have little pictures of chickens and stuff. So once again, I don't know where that lecture is. Okay, but here we go. If you wanted to eat, you're gonna have chicken, but you want the piece of chicken that has the least amount of fat. Breast, wing, or thigh? Which one is the leanest and has the least amount of fat? Yeah, and is that white meat or dark meat? Is the breast white meat or dark meat? It's white. Oh shit, no, I'm hot. Okay. What do you know about chickens? Are they big flyers? No, they do this, thump. And then they're like, thump. Okay, they don't do a lot of flying. They use their breast muscle to fly. Think about their legs. Provided their chickens not in a cage. Okay, but like chickens on a farm. What do they do all day? Walk and walk and walk and walk. Their leg muscles are used all day, every day. That's dark meat. Now let's think about a duck. Okay, a duck. Where's the white meat, the little used muscle on a duck? Where's the white meat on a duck? Well, when they hit the water, what do they do all day? They swim. Yep, they do swim. Anybody? People are like, well, they don't fly. Do ducks fly? Of course they do. That's why people have to sit in a blind to, that kind of thing. Ducks don't have white meat. Where's the white meat on a human? Where's the muscle that humans don't use? Anybody? Wish I was kidding, but you know what I'm about to say is truth. I did have one person say in their brain. And I went, oh, we're clearly letting you graduate. You're not earning it. Okay. Your brain is not a muscle. And it's not. It's nervous tissue. It's not a muscle. Okay. Humans, okay, so sit up straight. Everybody sit up straight. Okay, work your transverse abdominis. So pull your belly button as far as you can. When you do that, you naturally straighten up your back. I mean, you could like slouch and try to do it, but really, honestly, we use all of our muscles all the time. Our antagonistic pairs we're using all the time. So we don't have white meat, which means if you're going to cook a human, you have to cook it really well done. I've got tips on everything just in case you need it. So here we are. You never know. I don't know what next year is going to bring. I mean, who knew last year was going to bring a plague? Okay. Here we go.
Miss Fred.
Yes, dear.
So if the brain's a nerve tissue, does that mean you can like operate on the brain while someone's like alive or like not awake?
Yeah, you can operate when people are awake on their brain. Yes. They do that for certain things to make sure that they're not, Like when they do brain surgery, like sometimes they'll keep you awake, you'll be anesthetized, you can't feel it. But they'll say, okay, hum a song, and they'll try to see if they're hitting the right part of the brain if they need to do something. Or they'll say, you know,
Wow.
talk about your favorite memory, or you know what I mean, something like that. I know. How cool is your body? It's so freaking amazing. Okay, here we go. White muscle, that of a chicken breast. So highlight, grab your highlighter. Contains little myoglobin. I ask you this one on your test, I guarantee it, myoglobin. Complete. Little myoglobin means it's white meat. Little myoglobin. It's the second paragraph right above here, above where it says, read the effects of training. Yeah, it's not a blank. I just want you to highlight it. Okay. If it has little myoglobin, it can't store ATP. So that's why chickens can't fly. They just don't have enough ATP to get them going. They have all the, you know, all the characteristics. So lactic acid builds up, it's bad, okay? This is called fast twitch muscle. So highlight that. This is also in your gizmo, right? Fast twitch, slow twitch. Some of you are like, I haven't done it yet. Okay, you need to do that. All right. Now, red muscle, like in chicken legs, has a large amount of myoglobin that it can make ATP when it needs it. This is called slow twitch muscle. Okay, so here's the scoop. Now, my questions right underneath your 2 paragraphs. I don't have them on here. It says, read the effects of training, which you're doing the gizmo, so I didn't put that in there, but long distance runners. So I'm talking about not 440. I'm talking about people doing a marathon. Do they have fast twitch or slow twitch? Slow twitch, because they have stored energy to get moving, right? Sprinters use all their energy really fast. They have fast twitch. Does that make sense? Okay. Now this comes into play for a lot of different things. And I'm not going to get too detailed in it. And if I would love to teach an exercise physiology class. It would be phenomenal. It'd be so fun. Okay. So I'm going to move on. Are we good? Good. Okay. Triggers for contraction. Actually, I've got like 8 minutes left of notes. All right. So just relax. I have about 8 minutes left and then I'll turn you free. I think maybe 10. Okay. Everybody think for a second. Think. Ready? And flex your bicep. There had to be an action potential sent down to the muscle to make that happen. So that's what I'm talking about right here. So I've got troponin and tropomyosin right here. So hold on, I'm going to tell you what to write. Troponin, what I want you to write, or sorry, tropomyosin I first. Tropomyosin prevents myosin heads from binding to actin. Write that down. Prevents myosin heads from binding to actin. And here's what I would write. You ready? When I did the example, it was the rope. It's a long word because it's a long molecule. Long word, long molecule. It's the rope that wraps around actin. Okay, and on my little diagram, or on my little cart, I've got the little pink handles on my cart right here. That's the troponin, troponin. So hold on. Troponin binds to calcium. Binds to calcium. So everybody, the troponin binds to calcium to pull tropomyosin off binding sites. Again, troponin binds to calcium ions, great. To pull tropomyosin off the binding sites. In case you still, and you guys, if you are absolutely lost, it's in the movie. I promise you it's in the movie. Here we go. This is a muscle at rest. How do you know? The binding sites are covered by the rope. Long word, long molecule. Okay, now calcium fairy comes in, ding, 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 releases the calcium. Look what it does. It grabs the troponin, pulls it off, boom, the myosin can dig in. Yep. So how does contraction work? Well, here we go. 1. ACH is released from neuron. So number 1, it's a stimulation, and you can abbreviate ACH released from neuron. Wait, you have motor neuron on there. I keep assuming that you know what, there's 2 separate nerves, a motor and a sensory. This morning when I woke up, my hands were stuck like this. I couldn't even grab a glass of water because my hands just wouldn't work. I had to soak my whole body in hot water to get them to even move. What's going on? My disease affects my motor neurons. So I can't release ACH in my motor neurons. So my brain says, grab a glass of water. So I went to grab a glass and I did this, and it just, all I did was slide it, and I just couldn't grab it. So I had to use 2 hands. It sucks. It's sugar. Sugar makes me swollen. So stop eating sugar. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, let me see you stop. Okay. Acetylcholine diffuses across the synapse. So ACH goes across the synapse. The muscle is stimulated. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so right now we're stimulating the muscle. Number 4, calcium ions. What do they bind to? Do you remember? They diffuse and bind to troponin. God, you're perfect. Like, think about all of the cool things your body can do. You're so perfect. I still can't move this finger too well today. It's stuck. All right. Now, you don't have to write anything for number 5. Since troponin is also connected to tropomyosin, it pulls it off. The myosin can dig in. God, you're cool. That's called a power stroke. We already know that. The muscle shortens. So here's what happened. If we have a ton of calcium, we get more contraction. So if you still want to write the purpose of calcium is to make healthy, I want strong bones. Come on, please, please, please. It's not true. All right. So once again, calcium binds to the troponin. It pulls the rope off. All right. Where does it come from? This is a whole little diagram, and I'm not going to get into it right now because I want to talk about. Okay, I have no idea. I've got a thing on creatine right there. I don't want that. Relaxation basically is just the backwards. All right, so number 1, cholinesterase causes ACH to decompose, thus no stimulation. Without ACH, there's no contraction. So that's where I am. My ACH isn't decomposing. I just don't release it. So my nerves are degenerate. Like, I can't, like, when my brain says, you're going to fall. And most of you would catch yourself. I can't. I just have to fall and just own it and be like, that sucks. All right. Okay. Number 2, calcium comes to an end. All right. We're done contracting. No more calcium. ATP pumps the calcium ions away. But here's the big thing. Muscles that lack ATP remain contracted. So by number 3, I want you to write muscles that lack ATP remain contracted. When do you not have energy? When you're dead. You're like, at 10 p.m. Okay, well, I hope you're not dead at 10 p.m. When you're dead. What's that called? Stiff death. Rigor mortis. Okay. What? When I missed curfew, my parents are going to kill me. Okay, no, not that kind of dead. My philosophy is if I'm going to be late for curfew, I'm just going to do it. Like, not just 10 minutes. I was like late by hours. This is why I was prepped for like quarantine and lockdown. Like I was like, my teenage years prepped me for lockdown. Like seriously, I was grounded most of my high school career. Damn, I had fun. I had a nice time. Okay, so you already know what rigor mortis is, right? The actin and myosin stay locked together. So I'm not going to go through that too much. But okay, I do need to talk about, okay, and then number 4, 5, 6 are on there. Tropin and tropomyosin are inhibited. They stay apart. You are relaxed. Okay, so everybody, and I don't think you can see me, so I'm just going to do this. Okay, I'm going to pick up my pen. Okay, my pen is right there. I'm going to pick it up. Is my pen heavy? No. So my brain says it's little. You've picked it up before. I need 32 muscle cells to pick this up. Your brain already knows. So if you've ever watched a toddler, oh my God, I love toddlers. Like little kids when they're just learning stuff and they walk over and they're like, and they go to pick it up and they're like, and then all of a sudden, you know, and they're like, or they grab something like, oh, like their brains haven't learned yet. So so a lot of you are like, oh, honey, let me help you. You're not helping the kid. You're preventing their brain from learning, like determining things. So you have to like, it's hard for you, right? You're like, but I don't want my baby to suffer. Shut up. Just let the kid suffer. Now, here's the deal. I know I would be a terrible parent, but here's the deal. You've done this. Your mom says, can you go to the garage and get the white box? It says, you know, PPP on it. Please grab that white box and bring it in the house. And you're like, all right, okay. So you're thinking mom must be packing something. So it's probably empty, right? You're like, I don't know what mom's packing, whatever. So you go out to grab it and your brain looks at this big, huge box and goes, I don't know, I guess it's empty. Your brain says, we're going to need 800 muscle cells. You go over to pick it up and it's actually filled with, I don't know, bricks. So you go over and you're like, oh, mom, geez, mom, what the hell? I can't lift this. So your brain wasn't ready for what was in there. So that's why you have to practice things. Okay, next one. And I know you've done this too. You had cereal this morning. Don't eat cereal, it's crap. Okay, you had cereal this morning and you poured your milk and you knew it was a brand new thing of milk because you took the lid off, right? Pour, lid back on, stick it in the fridge. You're done. Good. We're good. And then you get home and your mom has, I don't know, chocolate chip cookies. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have some cookies and milk. It's going to be great. So you're like, I'm going to go pour myself a big old glass of milk. You didn't know that your sister dropped the gallon of milk all over the floor and there's this much left in there, right? You didn't know. So your brain is going, oh, it's full, right? You reach in and when you grab it, you're like, jeez, who drank all the milk? You guys suck. Who drank all the milk? God. And I know you've done that where you're like expecting something to be full and then you pick it up, you're like, oh, okay. Like your backpack and you think you're all packed to go and you pick it up, you're like, this was way too light. I need my iPad. I need my purse. Especially Carson, I know you're looking for your purse. You know, I know it's hard, you know, but so you've experienced that. And that is called all or none. Okay. So the all or none law, and I know I explained it kind of weird, but when my brain says, pick up this glass, it knows how many muscles and those 120 muscle cells contract all the way. There's no half-ass muscle contraction. You're like, oh, that was a half-ass job. It doesn't work that way. It's how many muscles are employed. So here's the deal. My all or none means that that's whatever number of muscles my brain determines I need will contract. The graded response means that I don't need to employ all of them. Like, I know that this just isn't very heavy, so I don't need to use my entire bicep, like, let me lift this. Okay, it's just not that heavy, okay? So the graded response, your brain determines what you need. That's why you have to let little kids do, when they say, no, me do it, I do it. And you gotta be like, all right, dude, have at it. And when they can't do it, you gotta be like, wait, you gotta wait till you're 6. Okay, because you're too little for that right now. When you're 6, you'll be able to do it. And it's like mowing the lawn or something. And you're like, okay, we'll just wait till you're 6 or 8. So that's that. I think we've about finished all of our notes. There are some other terms that come up and I'm going to hit those maybe next week, but everybody please take a jaunt. I got to share to my iPad real quick to your homework. go to your homework and go to, hold please. Bam, bam, bam. All right. All right. Oops. So, yep, open your homework. You know it is due. Oh, why isn't it showing up? Okay, it's showing up for them, but not for you guys. What in the world is going on? Hold on, let me redo this here. Boom, boom. Try again. Okay, there we go. Okay. So let me go back here. Let me get to human muscle homework. Let me get out of here. Crap. You can do it. Maybe not. Oh, for crying out loud, what is going on? Ah, okay, come on, please. I'm gonna stop share. Okay, everybody go to your homework and go to, while I'm trying to figure this out because I don't know what's going on here. Go to page 3 of your homework. Go to page 3 of your homework. All right. Okay, there we go. Now I think I'm cooking with gas. There we go. There we go. So on page 3 of your homework, you will notice these are some terms I used today. Okay. And notice I also put the page number from your textbook. I know it's shocking, but I did. So like today was one of those that I actually told you to highlight. So like number 5, the condition when a muscle is being stimulated but is not able to respond due to oxygen debt. And that's just fatigue. You should know the rest of these, like isotonic, isometric. So this one is equal length. So that's a plank. This is equal tension. That's lifting weights. The few and many motor units, that's what I just talked about in the response there. Okay, let's move on. Hold on. Okay, yep. All right, we're moving, we're grooving. Now right here, this is page 193 to 195, but we just talked about this. Okay, oxygen debt is the key in this one. So if you have oxygen debt, do you have increased oxygen or decreased oxygen? Well, obviously decreased. Okay, and because you have decreased oxygen, what does go up? Lactic acid. So there's 2 more. There's 4 total on that one. Okay, so make sure you have 4 total checked. All right, now this is from today. This goes exactly along with today's notes. Well, not exactly, but pretty darn close. Okay. Okay, we already did that quiz. These are on page 197. Oh, yes. And let us get down to number 4 right here. All right. So everybody listen to the words I'm going to say, and I hope I can enunciate well enough. Biceps brachii, biceps femoris. Which one's on my leg? Because the word femur is right in there. Muscles are named for so many things. The action of a muscle. So if I say it's my adductor longus, then we know it adducts. Shape, your trapezius is what shape? Trapezius. Trapezoid. Your deltoid is what shape? Delta, it's a triangle. Oh, I got you. Okay. Number, location and muscle origin, like gluteus, like brachialis. Okay. Number of origins, biceps femoris has 2. Triceps has 3. It's right here. Okay. Location of muscle relative to a bone or region, like your gluteus. It's on your bone. Direction, oblique is direction. So if you don't know what that means, that's oblique. But relative size of the muscles. So everybody, let's do number 2 together. Adductor, magnus. So which 2 letters go in that blank? Well, let's do adductor. What's adduct mean? It's an action, so A. And then magnus would be like magnum. Is that big or small? Big, so what would we say? G, the size of the muscle. Does that make sense on how to do this one? All right. And then, my darlings, when it comes to the coloring, I know some of you want to color the bare minimum, but like when you're coloring, and I'm just gonna, I don't know, let's pick blue. Okay, when you're coloring things, try to do both sides. You know what I mean? Like do the entire lips all the way around, and then you got to go over here and do the lips too. Does that make sense? Don't just do where the C is, like do the whole thing. Why? Because it just looks pretty. All right. Okay, these, if you still don't know, these are all part of your notes when we went through what all the muscles do. We've got some abs, we've got some other stuff. All right, so here's the scoop. When we get down to the at the clinic, this is the developmental. It's right here. It tells you exactly what page. And then there's 3 down at the end. You have to actually look at this page. Now you could probably guess, how does the muscular system benefit from the cardiovascular? And I can always tell when kids don't actually look at the page because they're like, a beating heart is always good for muscles. I'm like, oh, okay. What does it actually say in the book, you ding dongs? A beating heart is generally helpful for life. Okay. So you've got to make sure that you actually use the book. Now, that's all I have for you. And I know, I'm sorry, I talked for, a long time, but we're done with notes. The homework is due Friday. It's due Friday. So if you have questions tomorrow and you want to come in and ask, that's great. I might be in the middle of something, but you can read stuff off to me. I mean, I can almost double task at most of the time. Ooh, look at number 4 right here. After the massage, student instructs her patient to drink lots of water. The knots are gone. What are they and why would they need? I just gave you that in your, in lecture. Ooh, what 2 superficial muscles of the back were receiving the bulk of a massage? So it'd be this big one right here, your shoulders, the one that looks like a trapezoid, trapezius, and probably your latissimus dorsi. All right. So they're pretty good questions. That's what I have for you. So Zoomers, take off. I'll see you if I see you tomorrow. Come in anyway. Roomers.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. Do you have any questions, roomers? This is the only thing due on Friday. Like it's literally the only thing due. And you know what? I can take that next week. I'm not worried about it. Oxygen. Yep. Yes. Because if it had increased ATP, in order to make ATP, you need the oxygen. And if you don't have oxygen, you can't make the ATP. All right, let's do it. Where am I? Hold, please. All right. Okay, there we go. Yep. Yeah, if you've got low of one, the other one's up. Like it's usually an inverse relationship. Woo! Did that help, Joanne? Because this morning you were like, "Are you gonna go through this?" Yeah. Okay, good. Mallory, you're still on.